Hi, this is Jeffrey Kerr at Kerr Financial Group. Today's Wednesday, June 26, 2024. Let's touch upon a few things in the international markets and look at the U.S. stock markets as we come into the end of the second quarter, end of June. So first, let's go to Japan. The interesting news there is that the Japanese currency, the Japanese yen, is at 35-year lows in comparison to the US dollar. The significance of that is they import, the cost of their imports is going to go up dramatically as the yen has less value to buy those imports. It's going to take more yen to do that, and it brings inflation into their system. Regarding the stock market, this lower currency in the short run can be beneficial to the stock market. And sure enough, the Nikkei 225, which is the main Japanese stock market index, is up 18.5% year to date. Returning back to the U.S., there's a discrepancy or a gap between performance of the various indexes, and it ties back to Nvidia. The Dow up 3.7% to start the day year to date. Russell flat, down actually 0.25%. The small cap, the S&P small cap 600, which is a small cap index, is actually down 3% year to date. The Nasdaq's up 18% and the S&P 500 up 14%. And again, that is primarily driven by Nvidia. And Nvidia has been a great performer this year. Historically, when you look back, there are some comparisons out there with Nvidia stock performance and back in the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s of Cisco Systems. And there's a similar pattern on the way up. We'll see if it follows because Cisco Systems is still around and producing routers and like that. But the stock price collapsed when the dot-com bubble burst, in the early 2000s. And Cisco's stock price has never recovered to that level. Can it happen to Nvidia? Yes, it can. Will it? Who knows? I mean, the markets trade differently than they did back in the late 1990s and into the bubble bursting. It's just a lot more derivatives, a lot more algorithms. And so it's hard to know, but I do think there's certainly risk in NVIDIA over an intermediate to longer term just because the valuation. NVIDIA is a great company. They keep producing and transforming themselves to be at the forefront of a lot of different areas. And the last thing I want to touch upon is that we're coming into July and August, and historically that can be a summer doldrums where the stock market really doesn't do anything. There can be some, stocks that go up or come down a lot, like that. Certainly individual risk. But if there is a doldrums, it can trade sideways into Labor Day. I think there's now more of a consensus that we're going to get a interest rate cut in September, so that may be supportive of stocks going into it. So we'll see how that plays out. Be back on Friday. Thank you for listening. Keep the questions and comments and suggestions coming. Thank you again. Goodbye.